Welcome to my channel, Project 550. My name is Sunny. Thank you guys for stopping by and really appreciate it. Before I get started, I guess let's just get the formalities out of the way. If I could get you guys to take a quick second, smash that like button, subscribe, share, comment, all the good stuff, and I would really appreciate it. So this first video, episode 1, and I guess what I wanted to kind of get into with this first video, sort of like an intro video, kind of talk a little bit about who I am and why I'm starting this channel. So I guess let's just get right into it and let's talk about the elephant in the room, no pun intended. It's going to be a weight loss channel because I am in a battle for my life. And I guess the reason why I decided to document that and start a channel discussing it and showing, I guess, the battle that I'm going through, because my intentions weren't to start a channel. I've never aspired to create content. However, I would say around December when I decided to get serious about my health. Not to say that I wasn't serious before. I mean, so I wasn't, how do I put this? So I wasn't seriously trying to do something about it. I knew it was serious. I knew my condition was serious. I knew that I was in danger and I wasn't doing anything about it. And I was doing what a lot of people in my position do, and that's manipulate and lie to ourselves and convince ourselves that we're happy where we're at, and it's okay, big is beautiful, all those cliche things that you hear in the body positivity movement that are just manipulations to cope with the fact that you are more than likely addicted to food or eating, and it's a very, very, very difficult situation to overcome. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later as we get into it. So I started back in December. At that time, I weighed 550 pounds. I think I was actually like 553, but I just call it 550. I decided that I'm going to, so I guess I should start with, I've been struggling with my weight my entire life. I've had times where I was super fit and healthy, and then whatever circumstances in life led me to fall back into my addiction, and I regained weight. This last time was, like I said, that's 550 is the largest I've ever been. And I'm in constant fear for my life, so much so that I have a blood pressure monitor, an oximeter, a blood sugar monitor, A1C test next to my bed, and I'm constantly testing myself, obsessively almost, for fear that I'm going to die, that I'm just going to up and die. And I'm not delusional in thinking that there's there's a good chance that that could happen. However, I have had some pretty significant tests done, cardiologist workups and blood work and things like that done at the doctor. And for my age and my size, I'm really pretty healthy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not super healthy. You know what I mean? You can look at me. Clearly, I'm not the strapping young man that I once was. I'm not running miles a day, and I'm at risk for several things. I do have high blood pressure, but I do have a chance right now to do something about it and hopefully prevent something horrific from happening. I just, I pray to God that I'm acting in enough time to do something before that happens. I decided I'm going to give it everything I got before I decide to go to the extreme, do like the gastric sleeve or something like that, which I don't have. I'm not against anybody doing what they have to do. And I'm not even saying that that's outside of the realm of possibility for myself. There's a chance that I may end up doing that if I am not able to get my weight down enough naturally, which I don't think I'm going to have a problem. I think I can do it. But it's not off the table, or even GLP-1s, which, I'm just not a huge fan of just because of how new they are. I know that, a lot of people say they've had success, but I know a lot of people that haven't and have had side effects. And I guess that's that's feasible or understandable with a lot of new medications. I've always had this fear of medication. I guess I hate taking medication, especially medication that I've never taken before. And so it'll be really hard for me to just start taking that medication. But it's not off the table. I do want to give it all I got at this. And so back in December, I started watching YouTube videos, watching a few people that were on their weight loss journey, as they call it, which I never really understood. I don't feel like I'm on a journey. To me, a journey just feels like, frolicking through the woods looking for butterflies and strawberries. Like, to me, this is a battle. This is a war. This is a fight for my life. Let's not candy coat it. You know what I mean? Let's not, I don't know. If you're on a journey, handle your business, go on your journey. For me, this is a war. We are in a fight for our lives. I'm trying to save my life. And if you weigh as much as I do, you need to look at it like you are trying to fight for your life as well, because you are. Your life is in danger. And words have meaning, words are important. And I'm not knocking anybody who's on a journey to the end of the world. But to me, it has a different meaning than what I'm dealing with. And so, like I said, back in December, I started watching these channels. There was a couple good channels, solid dudes that were like really losing weight, solid people. But I came across several channels where, the people would be like, you clearly have a food addiction. For example, one was a gentleman he's had the bypass, and he was super morbidly obese. Yet on his videos, he's just pounding fast food. And this is less than a year after his gastric bypass, pounding hard liquor, smoking weed. And I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live their life. And I'm not even saying, I'm not even really naming the dude right now, because I'm not trying to hate on anybody. Handle your business, do you, you know what I'm saying? But the only thing is, I've gone through the process of the gastric sleeve. When you get ready to have the gastric bypass or gastric sleeve or whatever, the weight loss surgery, you have to see a bunch of doctors and psychologists and have a bunch of tests ran, and they run down what's expected afterwards. And a lot of the things that he's doing are, prohibited, not prohibited. I mean, you can do what you want to do, but it's not a good idea a year after surgery to be pounding massive plates of food and pounding beer and hard liquor and drinking Coca-Cola. All these things are not only go against a healthy lifestyle, what's the point of having the gastric sleeve to lose the weight if as soon as you lose it or don't lose it, you gain all your weight back because you haven't changed your lifestyle? It's not a one-all save your life and that's the end of it. You have to change your life, and it's a tool that can be used to make that change feasible for someone who otherwise was having a hard time. And so, I think that more needs to be done or said about dealing with your food addictions before you, and I know they try and they do talk about your eating habits and stuff like that after surgery. I just felt like you're potentially causing harm to somebody when you do that. And that's just my opinion. I'm not a doctor, but my opinion based on what I've seen, what I've read, what I've been told by doctors when I went through the process. I didn't go all the way through and have the surgery, but I went through the steps leading up to the surgery. So I do have a little bit of information about what it looks like afterwards. And that was not what it looks like afterwards. And like I said, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live their life, but when you're making a channel that you're kind of, I guess, trying to show people your journey, they're looking for someone to relate to, someone to get ideas from or get help from, how they can, what they can do to help themselves. And when they see this gentleman doing this, they may think that it's okay. And then when he does his weigh-ins, he's not being honest about his weight. Like I said, at this point, I'm not going to put the dude out there, but he was saying he lost this much weight and weighed this much when in fact it was about 40 or 50 pounds. He actually weighed about 40 or 50 pounds more. So I was really discouraged and pretty upset about that because he's a good content creator. I mean, he's energetic, he's active, he gets on all the time every day. I give him credit. He does do a pretty solid workout routine regularly, but it's just, those other things that people are looking at or looking for that are potentially harmful. So I was like, man, I stopped watching him, started watching another dude. Come to find out, this dude's been over 400 or 500 pounds for almost 10 years, putting out content, and he'll change his name and change his channel. He's never really losing weight. It's like a grift, I guess. There's a couple of dudes who are solid and they're really showing their battle and their struggle, and they're not with the fake weigh-ins, and they're not doing all this tomfoolery like these other couple of gentlemen. And there's more out there. I just wanted to give you a brief example. And I thought to myself, man, people need someone to get on here and be honest and give honest expectations, because the number one thing about this battle, the most important, the single-handedly most important thing about this battle, and the only thing that really is the key to success is brutal, uncut honesty with yourself, to yourself, for yourself, by yourself, about yourself, with others, with your family, with your friends, with your support group. You have to be completely transparent and honest if you want to have success at this. Because when you start lying on any level or degree, you open up yourself to more lies and more manipulations. And before you know it, you're doing your typical food addict behaviors, and you're hiding food and you're lying about it, and you're eating out and you're lying about it, and it just gets out of control and it doesn't work. So I thought, what would it look like if I started my own channel? So kind of here we are. Another reason was, and what I thought of when I thought about what it would look like if I started a channel, I wanted to build something, and this is my idea, and we'll see where it goes. I wanted to put out something authentic, and I wanted to build a community, I guess, of like-minded people in a similar situation, people that are in the same battle as myself, where we can come together and we can give ideas, share ideas, tactics, information, whatever's beneficial to help one another. And I would put it all together and kind of put it out there through my channel. That's kind of the vision that I have, amongst other things. I have quite a few ideas about how we're going to do this, but it's not going to be just your typical daily show you that I'm eating carrots and going on a walk and then weighing in on Wednesdays. We will do that. Definitely. I think that's important, but I'm going to have other stuff as well. Stuff that everybody can look at and either learn from, laugh at, love, like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll build on that. For example, I wanted to get into topics that aren't really spoken about too much with this. Like I see a lot of people that'll kind of like dabble in some of the truth, some of the unspoken truth and topics and issues and facts about being morbidly obese. And some people don't really understand it. Some people have been sold a bad bill of goods by a terrible movement that condones living this lifestyle. By me, I don't understand why. I guess it's just cope. They're just coping with the fact that, they're having a hard time making changes in their life. So rather than fight for their life, they'll accept their life the way that it is and tell everybody to leave them alone because they don't want to deal with it, I guess. Fear, I don't know. But so for example, let me just give you an example of something that I'm talking about. So I seen a podcast not too long ago with, she did one of those 20 versus 1 deals, Jillian Michaels. Shout out Jillian Michaels. She did a really good job. I like her. She puts out a lot of good information, and she's got a good heart. She really wants to help people. You can tell she really wants to help people. And so shout out Jillian Michaels. But she was on there talking to a girl that it was her against, I guess, I want to say they were the body positivity movement people. And Jillian gets on there and starts talking about stuff, and she said something about obesity. I mean, you would think that the girl was going to burst into flames. Like, she just almost melted. She was like, oh, she was so offended. We don't use the word obesity or morbidly obesity. That's offensive. What? What do you mean that's offensive? She said, and don't quote me, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but if my memories, I'll have to go back and look. But it was something along these lines. She said, we prefer fat-bodied or fat. So we're not using the medical term. We want to use the standard derogatory inference for your condition. And that made me think, I'm like, what sense does that make? And then it clicked. I'm like, she would rather be called fat or fat-bodied or whatever version of that pejorative that word that is comfortable for her, because she's been called that her entire life. So it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's lost its meaning. It doesn't hurt as bad as obese or morbidly obese. Why? Because when you tell somebody morbidly obese or obese, that has a medical inference to it. That says you're to the point where your health is at risk. And before we get anywhere, like when I'm talking about these subjects and about this condition, I don't care what you look like. Who cares what you look like? It's about your health. It's about your life. It's about your loved ones. It's about the people that are around you that have to suffer while you're doing this to yourself. They have to watch you struggle and basically slowly kill yourself. And there's so many parallels between addiction, like drug addiction and food addiction. When I break it down, you're going to be like, wow, that's crazy. But anyways, this girl, sorry to get off track. This girl, she lightweight kind of breakdown over being called obese or morbidly obesity. And I think that's because when you say that to somebody, it's almost scary. It has a real actionable sense. Like, you need to act. You need to do something to save your life because you're dying fat. And that's I got that from Jelly Roll. He was like, he was on Joe Rogan and he was talking about when he lost all his weight. Shout out Jelly Roll. He did a phenomenal job. That dude really showed us how it's done when it comes to losing weight. And he did it essentially all natural. I think he took some metformin or something like that, which whoop-de-doo. I mean, it's not like nothing crazy, but he did a phenomenal job. And, I don't care about all the extra stuff that goes on with Jelly Roll that everybody's all worked up over about this, that, and this hater. I personally believe that Jelly Roll has made a turn in his life and he's proclaiming the Lord Jesus Christ as his savior. And as soon as he started doing that, here come all the attacks. And I've seen it happen a million times to a million people. When we start putting that JC word out there, here comes the enemy. And I just, and that's totally off topic, but I just hear it every time I bring it up. Oh, well, Jelly Roll, he did this and he did that and da-da-da. And it's like, who hasn't? Who hasn't? The dude's a brand new baby Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's his grace? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know when I first came to the Lord, I still had issues with my mouth, and I still had issues with looking where I'm not supposed to look and saying what I'm not supposed to say and doing what I'm not supposed to do. It took me a while to work out all my sins, and I still didn't do it. I still haven't done it, and neither have you. So I think that just the fact that he's trying to make a difference in his life, and he's got a platform and a stage and an audience, and every time he says, thank you to my Lord Jesus Christ, and everybody gets to hear that, that's important. And so I don't care what anybody, all these haters, I don't care what the enemy has to say. As long as he's trying to do better and be a better Christian, I love you, dog. Way to go. But as far as his weight loss journey, and aside from all that, he did a phenomenal job. I salute you, Jelly Roll. Way to go. And I would love to be kind of, I wouldn't mind doing the same. That's what we're shooting for, is to lose that much weight or more. It's a permanent, life-changing battle. And so, anyways, back, let's reel it in. Let's get back to where we was at. He was saying that, I'm not talking about, just dad bod fat. I'm talking about dying fat. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about when your health is in jeopardy, when your health is at risk, and you're dying, you're slowly dying, yet you're still pounding plates of food, and you're sneaking bags of cookies, boxes of cookies, and you're hiding in the pantry, smashing through the ho-hos and ding-dongs, and then you're going and telling everybody that, like, I don't know, I'm trying, or I'm only eating this, that, and the third. We all do it. We've all done it. I've done it. I do it. But that's I was just saying that as an example of kind of like the degree of fat or obesity that we're talking about. I'm not talking about somebody that's just a little chunky chubby, but we're talking about health risk, obesity, morbid obesity. That's what we're talking about. And so those are some of the topics, that I want to get into. And there's a lot more topics. For example, I'll really let my family down. I let my community down. I let myself down. I let my kids down. I let my brothers and my sisters down. To the same degree that I let them down when I was addicted to drugs, I've let them down with my addiction to food. I'll give you an example. I haven't taken a shower on my own in years. I have to have help. I haven't washed my feet in years. I have to have help. I haven't washed my back in years. I have to have help. I can't wipe on my own. I have to have a device and help. And I'm not trying to be gross. I'm just trying to be real. I don't hear a lot of people talking about these things, but these are just facts. And I want to get into those facts because I think that you can call somebody fat in every version of fat that you want, and it's not going to matter because they've heard it all 1,000 times and it just bounces off. But when you start talking about those things that matter, like, for example, I've never been on a family vacation in my life, and we finally were blessed with an opportunity to go on a family vacation. So we decided to go to Disneyland. Well, what does that look like when you're 550 pounds? Let me tell you what it looks like. It looks like I had to rent one of those little motorized carts, and I had to wheelie around Disneyland and watch everybody get on the rides. And I couldn't get on the ride, and that's fine. I wasn't there for me. I was there for them. But you know what else I had to do? I had to watch the look on my kids' face when people were pointing and laughing. And my kids and family, they would never say nothing, or they would never take it poorly or show that it was affecting them in any way. But it does. It's not fair to them. It's not right to them. And because I've chosen to allow my addiction to food to go on for so long. Anybody can have struggles with addiction. The struggle with addiction in itself. So let me say something about addiction, I guess, and how I look at it, I guess. And so the issue isn't the food, because it's kind of, like I said, I'm a Christian. So addiction is a sin. And what I mean, and the issue isn't the food, it's the control. If it runs you or is in control of you, you've already missed the mark. It gets into idolatry, because idolatry isn't just statues, right? It's anything you trust, depend on, or obey more than God. If you can't say no to it, or it's your master, it's it's idolatry. So understand that struggling with addiction isn't worship. Fighting addiction isn't surrender. Temptation to food or whatever your drug of choice isn't idolatry. Addiction becomes idolatry when it stops being a fight and becomes something you serve. If it controls you, comforts you, and you won't let it go, or you won't fight it, or whatever, you've basically put it in place of where God belongs, if that makes sense. So I just want to get that out there about food addiction and how I feel about it. And again, those are just some of the things that I don't see a lot of people getting into. And I want to, dig into. I haven't been able to be the type of Christian that I want to be. As a Christian, we're supposed to evangelize and go out and spread the word. How? I can barely walk to the bathroom. What do I look like momming up to somebody in a Walmart buggy talking about the fruits of life when I can't even display them in my life? I have no self-control. I'm serving, idolatry. And, I'll get more into that. There's a lot more. There's a lot more detail in that, but that's just kind of touching the surface of it. But like I was saying, those are just some examples of things that I wanted to get into with the channel. And I kind of wanted to use the channel as an opportunity to, I guess, make amends to those people in my life, my wife, my children, everybody who's had to endure my condition and watch me go to the emergency room twice a month in fear of dying, who've had to miss out on vacations, who've had to put things aside because dad couldn't go, who didn't have, the things in their life that you would think that they were supposed to have, the events that I had to miss. And I tried very hard to not miss events, but even still, it's like I said, as much as they don't show that it bothers them or it hurts them, and it may not, but it hurts me when I know what people are saying or thinking, or the snickers and the laughs, they're pointing out that that's so-and-so's dad, or that's such and such husband. Oh my God, look at that dude. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I've heard it all before, but I care for them because they don't deserve that. And I care for them because it's something that I can fix. So we're going to fix it. And I want to fix it, and I want to do it in a way that hopefully it helps others. I want to help you as much as I want to help me. And hopefully by doing that, this last decade of food addiction won't be for nothing. I'll be able to say, not only did I save my life, but I helped somebody else in their battle. And that's why I started this channel. I wanted people to come and to a place where our losses are our gains, where our growth comes from our pain, and where the truth breaks our chains. And that's Project 550. That's what we're doing. So I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Check me out. I'm going to be posting regularly. Once I get a little bit more hang of this, I'm going to start going live. I'm going to do all those things. I'm going to do the weigh-ins. I'm going to do all those things, plus the other content that I was kind of getting into, and then some. We're going to do big things here, and I hope to see you guys all there with me. If you got anything you want to comment on, add, I'll be checking for it. Again, my name is Sonny. Like, comment, subscribe, share with everybody you know. Let's go, baby. We're going to do this. I'm out.